Hello everyone, welcome to Thursday Live Lesson. My name is Aldrin Guerrero, and as per usual, I'm joined by Mr. Aaron Nakamura. Say what's up, Aaron.
What's up?
And Kahai Fergan. Say what's up, Kahai.
What's up?
We are live here on the Ukula Underground offices in Sunnyside, Kapa'a, Kauai, Hawaii. And you are here at Thursday Live Lesson. So what we do here is we try to go over our content and any kind of questions that you guys might have. So we get questions from all over the place. We get questions from our all you UU Plus members. We have questions from the UU Plus forums, from the intercom, from email, from word of mouth. People calling us late at night, and some text and stuff. Usually what's Kahai's favorite food and what's his favorite color. But we try to get to those here in the show. No, I'm just joking. We're gonna try to answer all and any of your Ukulele Underground and ukulele questions in general. I'm gonna try to answer them as best as I can, and of course, since I have the other two guys in here, they can lend their second and third opinion so we can get to your answer. We can answer them to our best abilities. All right. So let's get started. Right off the bat, because we are live, you guys can totally log onto the chat and chat with us live. You can ask your question live, and these guys will relay it over to me, and I'll try to answer it as best as I can. So first off, let's hit it with one of those questions that I was talking about. Kahai?
This one is from a couple weeks ago when
Okay.
we did the chunk breakdown.
Okay.
Remember
Okay.
that?
Okay.
So the question goes, Aldrin, I really appreciate all the teaching you give us.
Okay. Thank you.
I've watched many people on YouTube teaching how to chunk. I believe you are the only one who teaches the chunk by deadening the strings with the side of your thumb.
Mhm.
Everyone else says to deaden the string using the fleshy base of their thumb and the meaty lower palm. I love your chunk, but the others sound okay. To me, I can't seem to get a good and consistent chunk using either method. I use my index finger to strum. At the bottom of my strum, my thumb is positioned about parallel or slightly below the strings.
Okay.
Using your method, I'd have to change the way I strum. I believe maybe it's a case of more practice needed. And they wanted to know if there's any downside to doing it the other way.
Okay.
The
Yeah.
other way that-
Well, the way that I teach it here in Ukulele Underground is not only the way that I've been doing it for years, but I've found that it is one of the most efficient ways to do the chunk, because here we are all about form. Here in Ukulele Underground, we try to put a lot of emphasis on form. Okay, so the chunk is basically a follow-up to the basic form that we have in Ukulele Underground, which is pointing yourself and pointing down to the ground. That's the most basic form here that we have in Ukulele Underground. So if we can get a zoom here on the on the hands, there we go. So we discussed this a few weeks back, where we're just kind of doing this this half moon thing, see how we're pointing up to ourselves, and then we're pointing down to the ground like this. Notice when we're pointing down to the ground, our finger is right here, our thumb is right here, and that's why. So if if you're following through with the correct form, everything should sound okay. And you're talking about using the flesh of the flesh part of your thumb instead of the side of your thumb, right? So you're talking about this base right here. So if you're hitting it with the base down here, you're actually overextending your pointer finger, and you have to point out this way in order to hit it with the side of your thumb with the form that we're teaching you. Now, in order to hit the form or hit the correct chunk that we teach with the right form, you're just pointing down to the ground, and maybe not even that. You're pointing to just the underside of your ukulele like this, and you're going to hit the chunk. In order to hit that bottom part of your thumb, you're gonna have to, point out. So that's not really pointing to the ground. It's pointing to almost the person in front of you's feet. That's what you're doing there to get that. And if that's not what you mean, if it's down like this, even then. So this kind of makes your pointer finger go out this way, and you're pointing, pointing in front instead of pointing down to the ground. So it's all in form. So because of the form that we do here in Ukulele Underground, this kind of half moon, point yourself, point down to the ground. Notice that your thumb is right here, and it can just stop the strings. And that's why I think it's one of the most efficient ways to to do the chunk. And what we're going to cover today is the uke minutes on tips for a cleaner strum. So this is actually a great way to kind of start things off here at Thursday Live Lesson. So when you're strumming, you just keep up that pointer finger nice and loose. It's not going to be like straight like this. So even though I like to exaggerate, that's just an exaggeration. But actually my pointer finger is bent a little bit this way. So you can see my pointer finger like this. It's not straight. It's bent a little bit. So my pointer finger is nice and relaxed. The rest of my finger is also nice and relaxed like this. It's not like, it's not tight. It's relaxed. Okay? So if we were to strum, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And if we were to do the chunk, it's like this. And also we want to emphasize the fact that one of the best advantages of playing ukulele is that you don't have to move your forearm up and down to play ukulele. You can just twist the wrist like this. So that's the form that we have here in Ukulele Underground. We just twist the wrist. So when we twist the wrist and we do the chunk, it just ends up right here on our thumb. So down, pointing down to the ground. And because once you do the chunk there, this pointer finger comes up nice and natural for the up strum. So the chunks are always going to be on the down. So it's a chunk down, pointing down to the ground, then up. You're just going to catch your pointer finger on the up strum like this. So here's another slow-mo of that chunk. So here I'm just up, down, up, down, up, down. So if I'm doing this, you see where it perfectly lines up with where my thumb is, the side part of my thumb. So I'm not, I'm not using too much motion on my wrist because I'm not overshooting it. If I'm overshooting it, you can actually damage your wrist this way if you're twisting your wrist, too hard. Your wrist is not supposed to bend, like this, right? Because if you're using your this part of your thumb to hit it, you're bending, you're hitting it and you're bending your wrist a little bit too much, and that could cause some problems later on. So what you want to do is to get the nice, relaxed, and as natural as possible. To just get it right here on the side of the thumb. Right there. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question. If that's not exactly, because we're just kind of guessing from the words that you're telling us. But if you do want to send us a tech check or a video of what exactly you're talking about, what exactly you are doing, we could better correct this before it turns into a problem and possibly like an injury if you do it too much. Yeah.
Like most times we say like, oh, you can do it whatever way feels comfortable to you.
Right.
But then there's like some ways where it will lead like to, it's like easier, like it might be easier at the beginning, but it's gonna lead to, it could lead to like bad things later on.
Because that's that's overturning your wrist, because you're doing this, right, and it only turns so much. Like if you hit it right here, or or even open. So we also talk about not to do it kind of open like this, because a lot of people have learned to do it kind of open like that. So when you chunk with an open, it's bad form. So it's not necessarily wrong. It's just that it's bad form. We teach it this way with the side of the thumb, so that it's not getting in the way. This hand is still free to do that up strum, because when you strum down like this, you can catch it on the up strum, but it's going to be like the fleshy side, and it's not like a nice consistent with the rest of your strums. You see, like it's up like this, and it incapacitates your hand by like slapping it on the ukulele almost to do the to do the chunk. which isn't really a chunk, it's more of a slap down. I know a lot of people do it that way, and it's possible to do it, but as far as form goes, you're putting up too much effort to do that, whereas you can just stop it with the side of your thumb. Because all you really need to do is to stop the strings from ringing out, right? So when you strum, when you do the chunk, you're strumming down, and you're immediately stopping the strings from ringing out. You're just for a split second, you know, you're hitting those strings and then you're stopping them from vibrating. So you can use your thumb, the side of your thumb, to stop them from vibrating. So.
Yeah, I think people get the impression that you're making the sound by hitting,
yeah.
But you're not actually hitting anything, really. You're just stopping the strings.
The strings from ringing
so
out.
In that case, you really don't need to add any force. You don't have to like come in.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to hit the face of your ukulele at all.
No. So the
It's
sound
just,
is coming from your pointer finger or more, or more fingers that scratches the strings. That's the scratching sound that you hear. Is that strum? Kind of like when you do a regular strum, right?
Can hear that
yeah,
just
you can
before
hear that,
you can hear.
So you're just taking away the notes is what you're doing. You can still hear it. Right
That
there.
ch-
Here's that
that
chunk.
ch-
Chunk,
yeah.
chunk,
Yeah.
chunk. So if you stop that, stop the notes from ringing out, you're just left with that chunk sound. So that's what chunking is.
If you really listen to it, like the regular strum and the chunk,
Yeah.
like they start off the same way.
Yeah,
Exactly the same, yeah.
And
Exactly
it
the
just
same.
just doesn't ring out, right?
Yeah.
Like,
So a chunk is basically just a muted strum, is what it is.
Mhm.
So like you're and that's why we say there's different ways you can do this. You can do the muted strum. You can either do the chunk here, or you can mute it with your pinky mute, or you can do it by like by lifting up on your
left hand.
lifting up on your left hand. So if you just I'm not doing the chunk, and I'm just kind of like I'm muting it on my left hand. I'm getting the same
The chunk sound.
see, I'm not same sound. It's hard to do it because I have to mute it, Here, there you go. That versus pretty much the same sound. One is a little bit brighter because I'm not playing any notes on my left hand, but if I were to play notes, it would sound exactly the same. So once again, the chunk is a muted strum. It's not like a slap on with your right hand on the ukulele. It's a muted strum. So as if you were to play your regular ukulele chords, that beginning sound is what you want to keep without ringing out the rest of the notes.
Should I look at your mic pack? Is it dead?
No, it's two. It's got two batteries, two bats. But
Okay.
I don't know, that wire is kind of weird, so I don't know if it's that.
It's cutting out.
Oh, my bad. I
Is
don't
it?
know.
Well, Alan said that your
Yeah.
mic might be off, so we'll see.
Oh yeah. I don't know. It's on.
Yeah, we're getting a signal, so it's okay.
Okay.
I'll turn you up a little bit.
Alan is just.
Yeah, giving us some good feedback.
Yeah, good. So that's my best advice. Think of it that way. It's just basically you're strumming and you're muting the strings, and the most efficient way to do that is to keep the same strumming form, but minimize using your right hand. So if you're using that open palm, that's taken out. That's stopping you from using that same form. Because when we talk about that uke minute that that I have prepared for you guys today, you'll learn the importance of of a steady form, a steady strum.
Could it also be like what angle they're holding the uke at?
It should be it should be the same, because if you're doing it from here, like regardless, it should be the same.
But if you're holding it lower, don't you have to like extend your hand more, like with the?
Not really, because like as long as it your thumb can angle down, you know.
So like, should
Or
that be
angle
something
up.
else that they can play like?
Yeah, because the thumb is going to angle down because you're pointing down to the ground. The thumb is angling down. So regardless if you're here, so it
Just
see,
as long
like,
as you're covering the strings.
yeah,
or
as long
like
as you're
touching
covering the strings,
a
I'm
little
not
bit.
like, you know, I'm not moving my my ukulele. So here it is. Actually, that was kind of an exaggeration there. So it's like this, you know. So regardless of what, you know, what angle I'm holding the ukulele at, even if I go like an extreme low, it's still gonna stop the strings. Yeah, as long as you're stopping the strings. You're strumming, then you're immediately stopping it from ringing out, and that's what a chunk is. As far as like, you know, we're breaking it down as much as possible. Yeah.
That's so like that's another
Yeah.
advantage of doing it like the way we teach, right? Is like because it's the side of your thumb, like even if you're pointing down,
Yeah, yeah.
like you don't
Yeah.
have to overextend.
Yeah,
It
and that's,
should
you
be
know, that's why
covered.
we stick to you know, we stick to the way that we teach the chunking method here on Ukulele Underground, because you know, we want to be able to teach you guys how to strum as consistent as possible. Keep that nice form. All right.
So this is from Stacy,
Okay.
and Stacy asked if you have any tips for switching from D to B flat.
D to B flat. Oh. D to B flat.
That's what they said. D chord to B flat.
Oh. First off, it's kind of that's like a rare occurrence. I mean, I don't know what song you're playing, but that's pretty rare to go from D to B flat. But for me, if I'm gonna go D to B flat, I'm gonna try to, you know, play the D with one finger. Why? Because that one finger right there, when I'm playing the D with one finger, I'm gonna just release this, keep that middle finger in the second fret, play C string, and then form my B flat around it. So it goes like this. It's like the least amount of movement. So I'm playing my D this way.
Oh, D minor.
Oh, D. Okay, D minor. That's okay. That's better. I was like, D to B flat is kind of a weird jump. Okay, so D minor. So you know, you're playing your D minor. What I would do is keep my pointer finger there. I'm just gonna switch my middle and ring finger around. Like, watch what happens right here. So my middle finger is gonna go down 1 fret on the C. Ring finger is gonna go up for that. Pointer finger all the way down like this for the A string. So from D minor, so it's a minimal amount of movements, kind of like karate. The most impact with the least amount of movements. Okay, so see if you can practice that. So this would be the D minor. I mean, sometimes, you know, I like to use the like D minor like this. I just like to hold it with one finger, and even then, I'm just, you know, like lifting it up with my pointer finger, placing it on the C string, pointer finger down. Yeah, middle finger, C string, second fret, pointer finger down, ring finger up. So it's least amount of movements. I'm not lifting up on my pointer finger at all. I'm keeping it there on the E string first fret, using that as an anchor to the B flat. Okay.
So you keep your like the tip of your finger, like it stays where it was for D,
Yeah.
like D minor,
Yeah.
and then you just kind of flatten it out
Yeah.
to cover those.
Just flatten it out to cover that A string first fret, like so. So from the D minor to the
If-
B flat.
If she's having trouble with like D minor to B flat, could she practice doing F to B flat? Because it's like
Same
kind
thing.
of the
F,
same shape.
same thing.
Except it doesn't have the
Yeah, the ring
Yeah,
finger
one-
in there. Yeah,
one
so you can
extra.
practice it with F, B flat first, and then add that ring finger in there. So be
And
the
then-
same movement.
I also tend to push up use the rest of my hand to kind of push up.
Push up. Like
Yeah.
this. That works too. But if I'm pushing up, you know, with my D minor, it's
No, well, cause I hold like the D minor
this. Okay.
with my thumb up,
oh, like this.
and then to switch to the B flat with the thumb behind. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I use like my hand to push up.
So you play a D minor like this with the thumb up.
Yeah.
And then B flat.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay,
so
I see.
this part of your hand has to
Yeah. This way, I just like to put my thumb right at the top like this instead of going up. So that means like I'm using this part of my thumb and then like flattening it down
Yeah.
to support it for the
Yeah,
B flat. Yeah.
Hmm.
So.
But
So-
it kind of depends on what chord you are coming from before that too, right?
Yeah.
So.
But she says she thinks her problem is that she needs to use her middle finger to hold down the pointer, the pointer finger.
Like to flatten it out, yeah.
To flatten it out. So
So
she's trying to do this. Yeah, that's
Oh,
that's gonna be a bad habit if you do that. Unless you're doing like bar chords like this, using your middle finger for that B flat. Use the area of right before the first knuckle. This is the first knuckle right here. That first line on your finger. Use this entire area right here to play your E and A strings. So right at the tippy top of your of your pointer finger, use that to play your E string first fret, and then like naturally curve it down like this. Okay. So right at the points, curve down, middle finger here, ring finger there. Okay, for the B flat. B flat is a tricky chord. I mean, it took a little while for pretty much everybody. Like when they're starting out how to play ukulele, to play two strings with one finger is gonna be it's gonna be a tough thing. So they're like, oh my god, the dreaded B flat. And they're like, can we play G instead, or we'll never play B flat?
Yeah.
Aaron was saying like that he uses he does like a push-up motion.
Yeah.
Because he holds the B flat like behind, right, behind the neck too.
But yeah, the thumb is behind the neck.
Yeah.
So if you're doing that, if you're supporting it that way, it's like you shouldn't need to add that added pressure, right? Like you
Right.
have all the
Because
pressure.
your thumb is kind of doing this pinch, with the pointer finger right there.
Yeah.
So you
And
should-
you really don't need too much pressure.
It's not like you're
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be the Kung Fu death grip.
Yeah.
It's just to make sure that it makes the sound.
That's where it's like you can like practice just pressing enough.
Yeah.
to
Because
where
you
it's
don't need
getting
to
the song.
full
Yeah.
on like vice,
Yeah.
vice grip, Kingler vice grip.
Trey was saying, Dr. Trey, he was saying
Yeah.
that you only need your hand, the weight of your hand,
Yeah.
to really hold down your strings. If you think about that, how much pressure
Yeah.
that is, it's like not really that much.
Yeah. Dr. Trey.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that guy last night. How awesome he is.
Yeah. Well, it also could be like maybe you're not holding this part, like pinching that part.
Oh yeah, that's
enough.
true. Because your thumb is
Wait, they couldn't see
going
me, so-
forward. Yeah, that's right. Your thumb is going forward, but your forearm is actually pinching it back like this. So you're using your pointer finger to hold it back, and then here too, like this.
So it's not really like your thumb is like
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
pinch it.
Yeah,
your
It's basically
forearm.
like it's kind of like like a fulcrum, right?
Yeah, from
so-
both sides.
Yeah, so your right arm, your
Yeah.
right forearm is pushing
Pushing
down,
down, yeah.
on the
Like this.
seesaw,
Yeah.
and then your body is like the middle of the
Yeah.
seesaw.
And then pointer finger is holding it
Yeah.
down. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're playing seesaw with your right forearm and left pointer finger like
yeah,
this.
and so that should
you're
be
doing,
enough
yeah.
pressure really by itself.
Yeah. Then thumb to just kind of support it in the back.
Yeah.
Aaron said fulcrum, and I had to look through like my internal dictionary.
Take the
like,
index. Like, what does that mean?
I know what that word means, and then it's like seesaw. I was like,
Seesaw.
oh yeah.
Seesaw.
Yeah, I knew what a fulcrum was. Yeah.
That's why we have second and third opinions, so you guys can get fancy words like fulcrum.
I think that's the right way to use
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, you'd be the one to know. You're the one who went to college.
Yeah, fancy man, fancy college man with your fancy degree. All right, so next.
Ranger asked if if the diminished chord is part of the blues family. I guess if you would consider that.
It can be. I mean, it really just depends. Blues, you guys got to think that blues is an entire genre, yeah? And all the chords can be used in blues, like even major chords. I know, like in like Blues 101, because it is 101, we teach you guys the basic blues. We're talking about the sevens, like 1 7 4 7 5 7, but in reality, because blues is a genre, you can pretty much play whatever chords. Like Jimi Hendrix used like normal major chords for some of his songs. Like we had Little Wing on. That's a blues song, it was E minor to G. So diminished or whatever, D diminished 7. He said, like, it's a very specific diminished chord.
Not D diminished.
Oh, just a diminished
chord.
7. Okay. So a diminished chord is basically just like any other chord in our spectrum of chords, and you can use whatever for blues. So if you're playing a blues song that requires there to be a diminished sound to it, you can totally add that in there. So keep that in mind, that because it is a genre, there is no right or wrong chords that you can add to
it's just something
blues.
to have.
Yeah, just something to have. Yeah,
It's like
a
tool belt. Yeah.
It's one of your tool belts. Tool in your tool belts. Just because you're you're not building a house, just because you're building a bathroom doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to use that hammer.
Yeah.
It's like, this hammer is for building houses only. No, it's like so you can use all your chords for blues.
I think that's some people. We talk to some people, and that's where they get confused.
Yeah.
They get confused between like a technique and a style.
Yeah.
Where they think like, oh, those are like the same thing,
Right.
but it's like you use techniques for style.
And even then, like if we're sticking to like the basics and stuff, like we talked about sevenths, how sevenths is what kind of creates that that bluesy feel. So if we're talking diminished, the diminished 7, that goes right in there. So minor sevenths, diminished sevenths, augmented sevenths, like you can even use 9s. If you're like advanced enough, you can use like 9s, like A9, like, and it's huge. As Donald Trump would say, it's huge. There's all sorts of different of different chords that you can use. Yeah.
Would you use the 9s with like the 1 4 5?
Yeah.
Okay, so.
Actually, we should also talk about that question from Eric.
Oh, what is that? Oh, yeah. That was crazy.
So I got a
That
question
was-
from Eric, the famous Eric Bonifacio. And I guess he was taking a lesson from someone else, and
from,
they
the
gave
Langley, like ukulele group.
and
Yeah.
so he got a handout, and it was a C blues.
Mhm.
And I guess the instructor was saying that you can play the C blues on the C chord and F blues on the or C7 chord. So it's C7, F7, G7
Yeah, for the 1 4 5
for your C blues. And so he was saying to use the C blues scale on your C7 chord, F blues scale on your F7 chord, and G blues scale on your G7 chord in your C blues. And I was like, no, I think you're supposed to just use, I told him you're supposed to use the C blues scale for the entire song.
Yeah.
Which is what we teach on Ukulele Underground. But then I asked Aldrine, and we tried it out.
Yeah, and it works.
So-
See, the thing is, both of those are correct. See, there's no neither of them are wrong. You can use the C blues throughout the whole song on C, on F7, C7, F7, or and G7. But you can also use a C7 blues when you're in C7, and when it changes to F, you can use an F blues and G blues when it turns to G. So you can totally, you can do that. We actually tried it out, and it's awesome. So we're all learning every day, and I'm like, wow, I didn't even know that. I just like stuck to one scale for for that, and which works too. But now that opens up so many doors, like after and that actually, because that makes sense. There's that Jimi Hendrix song that I not Hey G, but was it
Hey Joe.
Hey Joe? Hey Joe now makes sense to me because like he's going like C G D A E7. So you can you can totally like play whatever whatever key
On each of the chords.
each one of them. And then when you go to that E7, you're jamming on E7 blues, even though that first chord is C.
Is a C.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
sorry, we're just going off like, oh man, it's like a
Yeah.
it was a light
But,
bulb
um,
moment for all of us here at Ukulele Underground.
So back to that
Yeah.
C blues though, you can't use the F blues scale on like the C or the G7, or like right? It doesn't
yeah,
work, right?
no,
It's not two ways.
It's
No,
only,
yeah.
like, well, you can use your C blues scale for the entire thing.
Yes.
You can use your F blues scale only during the F7.
Yeah.
And then G blues scale only during the G7.
Yes.
Okay.
But
yeah,
you can
so-
use the C blues scale throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's
But it doesn't work vice versa.
Yeah, it doesn't
So
work
say
for
like
the other
you're in
ones.
G, like you're in G blues, so it's G C D.
Uh-huh.
So you can't play the C blues on G.
Yeah.
yeah. So it's confusing.
It's the only. It would be only on that. What the C.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
I think it's better to like learn like the key, right? Like learn the scale for the key, the overall key.
Yeah.
And like that way, it's like you get good at that. It's like, oh, okay, like I know what to play. And for those things, it's like situational, where it's like, oh, I could also play this. But if you like kind of learn those things first, it's where you could get like confused, like, oh, I don't, we're playing at F chords, so I know I can solo on this.
Yeah.
But like I don't know this other solo for this G shape or whatever, right? Like so if you
C7,
yeah.
then to F, then to G7. Like it works.
Like it seems
Kind
like
of cool.
it seems like something that's cool to use, but it's like you should use it after you get like the
Yeah.
basic-
You should definitely
Get
get.
that basic dash.
If you're
It's
playing
kind
a
of
C blues, then learn your C blues
Yeah,
scale.
it's a very
first.
advanced technique because you're playing in 3 different scales on on one song, so it's
Yeah.
like
And you have to use it at specific times.
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's
yeah.
like even
so
more
although
to
it's a
think
cool
about.
trick, don't worry about it until until you reach that point where you're comfortable with your blues scale in general. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a little tidbit for those of you who like to play blues. All right, next up.
So that only works for the blues, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
No,
It wouldn't work for anything else.
No, not in major, not in minor, no. Because if you were like playing like G, C, D,
Yeah, you can't.
no way.
Yeah.
You can't play an F, like on a G scale just because you're in C.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it because they're 7th chords maybe?
Yeah, that
So they
definitely
kinda
has a lot to
blur-
it because
Blur that
the
out.
7 gives it that what is the word that I use, and that tension, because
Uh-huh.
it gives it's like a tension chord, so it's either or. And 7s could be like harmonic, not no, I'm thinking of minors. Never mind, minor 7s. But 7s, it instead of it being what you call it with the G, so you have like all those like
Yeah, the in between notes.
yeah,
that-
6 sharp and 7. Like
Mm-hmm.
you have those 3 notes at at the same time. So
I kind of think of it like majors and minors are like solid forms. Like they're solid, so you can't really do stuff in them. But then the 7th chords are like a little bit more loose, so it's like, oh, you have a little bit more wiggle room, right? To
Yeah.
kind of play around in it.
Yeah.
Just do stuff. So I think Leia asked. First, they asked like, what's the difference between style and techniques? And then they said that they kind of know what the difference is. They're thinking like, what technique would you use for what style?
you can use all of it. Like, I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about with the diminished, with the diminished chord. Think of that as like not a technique, but as as it.
It is
just
like a technique, right? though?
Yeah, I guess, but it's a
part
color.
of
Yeah,
music.
it's a part of music. So it's kind of like that. You can use all the techniques on all the styles. Is what we're trying to say. But there's a difference between both of them. Style is like the genre, of music or the way of playing. Techniques you can definitely use techniques to play that genre or to play that whatever. Just like how I think last week was the week that we did the split stroke, split stroke.
Yeah.
And you know, like you can use that for for different genre as well. But you know, it's tough, but you can. You know, it's just tools. Like techniques are tools in your belt, and styles are basically what you're making.
You'll just find that like different techniques work better with different styles, right?
Yeah.
Like
Or are used more often in certain styles.
Yeah.
So and then that's kind of like where the style gets like defined. It's like use sevenths for blues or use these chords for this thing.
It sounds bluesy, but that doesn't mean you can't use any of the other ones. So yeah, there's preferred. I should say there's like preferred techniques that you can do for certain styles, but that doesn't mean that you can't, you know? That's why like you got guys like Yngwie Malmsteen, who's like a classically trained guy, but he's like playing metal music by, like by playing like classical runs. He's doing like metal songs and stuff, so it's kind of like that. Or you got guys like say Jake Shimabukuro, you know, like he's got, he's playing all these Hawaiian traditional techniques, but he's playing like all sorts of different genres with it. So anything is possible.
Like you might want to try like the technique for different styles.
Yeah,
but
see if it works.
You'll just find like, oh, this one works easier with this one, and this one like you might have to finagle, right?
Yeah.
Like so we're saying for like the Formby like strum.
Yeah.
Like you can do it, but it's just like.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I was a terrible example, but somebody who someone say like James Hill, who who has done it for years and knows how to control it. I'm pretty sure if we're playing reggae and stuff, he'll somehow bust out a split stroke like in the middle of a reggae song. I'm sure that's possible, you know. So
he'll just throw it in there.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't. Yeah. I mean, I'm not James Hill.
Well, and we gave that example. Yeah. Right? It's like patting your head and
it is. It's so different, but I'm sure for somebody who's mastered that, he can use that for whatever. I've mastered the 2-finger roll. I can use the 2-finger roll in whatever genre I can do. That's something I can do.
Me and my dad were kind of playing around last night.
Yeah.
And I was telling him if you watch Aldrin, he does stuff that I can't even in my brain. I can't even try and do that. I don't know how to do a roll in that same spot that he does. In my brain just says no, just do a regular down strum. You know?
Yeah, but it's like that roll.
So I know I can do it. It's just I would need to reconform my brain.
Yeah.
Okay, you can do it.
Yeah.
So Leia asked, there's a lot of techniques and a lot of different styles, but they asked what's the preferred.
To answer that question is gonna take hours, because I mean we're talking how many different genres are there in music, and then we're oh well, this goes here, this goes there. Let's just say everything goes. The preferred one. Okay, here's the best answer for that. The preferred one is whatever technique you're proficient with. That's the best way that I can answer that. Just like how we said, James Hill, because his preferred technique, he can do split strokes and he's a master of that. He can use that for whatever genre. I can use 2-finger rolls for anything. That's my preferred. That's my preferred technique that I would use for whatever genre. So there's no right or wrong answer there. Whatever you're proficient at, use that to your advantage. So, if you're really good at using the hammer, go ahead and hammer that stuff out. If you're really good at using staple guns, staple that.
I thought you were talking about the actual technique of hammer-ons and stuff.
Yeah.
And we know people who are who will use that in songs.
Yeah. So that's my best analogy. It's if or if you're really good with tape, you tape it up really well. Just tape that stuff up.
Yeah. Although I mean. If you go to somebody who is a professional builder, they might not use tape that way, right?
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
If they're a master of that genre,
yeah,
they're not gonna use it the way that you use it.
Yeah,
so,
So
it's
there's no right or wrong answer for that.
For that but I mean, it's basically just kind of noticing what other people do in that style of music.
Yeah,
like what the best example I can think of is like if you do a down down up or down down up up down up strum, you can replace that second down with a chunk or a roll, right?
Yeah.
And both will work, and it's just like whatever you prefer.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like we're playing the same rhythm. We can all play like those three different things, and we're playing the same rhythm, and you won't really hear it. But it's just like
It's-
different style. Like that's just preference, right?
Like whatever whatever you're good at. See,
Yeah.
A good example, like there's, I was in Reno and I was playing with, there was me, there was James Hill, there's Brittany Paiva, and there's Mike Powers, and 4 of us are playing the same song, and it was Little Wing, and you can see 4 different ways to play that one genre, song, because we're playing the same song, but it's 4 different, 4 different styles, so 4 different.
Is that on YouTube?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. It's pretty cool, actually.
Even if you look at like you and Jason playing Little
Yeah,
Wing,
yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
like
It's different. It's like my
Very
style of
different,
blues.
yeah.
Like the techniques that I'm using is different. Same genre, but different
Or-
techniques.
Or just more recently, you and Matt jammed
Yeah.
blues, and then Matt was like, "Why would you even think of doing stuff that way, right?" Like
Yeah.
he's like,
It's
"Oh,
like,
I
it's
never
like
would
feels,
have."
yeah,
thought
it feels good.
Yeah.
Feels good, man. Just play when it feels good. Yeah, that's what like original like blues, like blues musicians did. It's just like that sounds good, so I'll just do it like that.
That's why what is it like? That's why there's that the devil's note. Right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
It's just because it's like it's not supposed to be there, but
Yeah,
nobody else is
yeah.
saying like
Yeah.
shit. Nobody's telling me not to do it. So
Yeah. So next, now that I know that trick, watch out, Matt. My my note choices just grew
Yeah.
just grew 3 times. Matt, if you had a hard time keeping up with me that time, it's gonna be dangerous.
even Matt was saying right,
Yeah.
like he's like, what I was taught was to stick to these scales.
Yeah.
And I realized like, oh, you can play these scales
Yep.
anywhere. So
Yeah.
it's like you just expand. I feel like
It's like you're giving me more knives.
yeah. Whoa, whoa.
We're like in the arena just battling it out. It's like, oh, see if you can do more with these knives. Like, what? I just had this mace.
I didn't even know about this
Do
one.
something with this AR. I thought we were in olden times, chariot races and stuff. Shoot his wheel. Anyway, yeah, okay. Because for me, like like I grew up in that time period where like you cut heads with somebody. You cut heads means like you're like soloing and stuff. And you watch that video, it's like I'm like playing like 1 or 2 notes. I was like starting out really really basic, but then Matt really wants to do stuff. I'm like, all right, I guess I'll I'll wake up and bam. But any more questions before we move on?
I don't think there's any questions from the chat. Let me just check. And if anybody wants to add questions right now is a good time.
So let's let's go over for the last. We have 15 more minutes, but let's go over the uke minute that I was talking about. So tips for a cleaner strum. If you guys haven't seen this uke minute yet, go and watch it. It's extremely informative. It's a really good one. So it talks about like different tips to make your strumming cleaner. So one of the here's a tip. So one of the first tip I think is to to relax your fingers, which I've already kind of covered. Instead of stiffening up your finger, you want it to be a little bit loose, and so is the rest of your hand. So as you let this loose, you're gonna find it's easier to keep time. But I thought that the most important tip in that uke minute is to develop a natural swing. So that's what you guys should really take away from that uke minute, is to develop a natural swing, because that natural swing is gonna keep you in time. So instead of going down up down up down up down up like this really robotic down up down up down up strum, that stiffens up your hand, that stiffens up everything, and you're trying to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If you develop a natural swing, with your relaxed fingers, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and instead of a. So that's the difference between, you know, having a natural swing. It's a lot more relaxed, but it's still in time. So although it's not perfectly in time as far as the the eighth notes, the downbeats are still always in time. So as long as your downbeat is on time, your upbeat can be swung a little bit. Okay, don't over swing it and it sounds completely off. But you can have a small little swing, and what I mean by that is that it doesn't have to land exactly on time. So here's like down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So you can go down, right? So you're still getting a nice like 2, 3, 4. So keep that in mind. Bop, 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 bop. But instead of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. It's a more relaxed way to to strum your ukulele. And if you're stiffening it up, it's going to sound robotic. It's gonna people are gonna hear how robotic it sounds. You need to develop a nice natural swing. So curve your finger, and use. I think in that uke minute it was talking about using the side of your the side of your fingers to strum, and that's it still rings true today. So even if you have your fingers relaxed like this, you're using the bottom side for the down strum. Oh, here, the bottom side for the down strum, and the upper side for the up strum. So down, see, down. I'm gonna play it slow like this. So, right, here we go. So see where it's hitting side of my finger. Down, and then on the up, opposite side, up. When I hit down, right here, down. And it talks about, not like digging into your, to your ukulele. You just want to graze just the top part. If I could separate it, it would be like this much of my finger that's actually touching the ukulele. It's just a nice grazing, grazing the strings. Because as long as your pointer finger makes contact with the strings, it's going to make noise. And the natural swing of your wrist and of your fingers is going to create a heavy enough hit. So like the weight of your, I think we've talked about that before, the weight of your hand going down should be enough. And it just needs to make contact a little bit with your pointer finger. So there's really no need to dig into your ukulele, okay? But the more the heavier the hit, the louder your ukulele gets. So even though I'm hitting it with just a little bit, I'm not digging in. But if I give it a little bit more weight behind that hit, I'm gonna get a louder strum. And another tip on that uke minute is to use more fingers. If you want it louder, what's going to make it louder is more density, right? So like I said, if the weight behind your strum. So if you have more fingers, means more weight. So it's going to be a louder strum. Also, if you want a louder up strum, you can use your thumb and hold it like a business card like this. I think we've if you were to hold or hand out a business card, it's just like that. So the thumb nail will hit the strings going up, and your pointer finger nail will hit the strings going down. See? Up. And then pointer finger nail going down. So it's a nice, brighter, louder strum. All right? So check out that uke minute. Very, very, very informative. And it's just like simple things that you can do to make your strumming that much better. All right, and if you guys haven't checked it out already, definitely go check out Matt's course on strumming. I can't recommend it enough. We've got a lot of great reviews on it. People love it, and I love it. So check that out. I think it's still up on ukuleleunderground.com/mattstrum, so you can check that out over there and download his course. It's awesome. I mean, seriously.
For his full course.
Yeah,
you
full
can watch
course,
the first...
Oh yeah, you can watch the first few ones here on Ukulele Underground Plus. So go ahead and watch that. But if just go and get the full course. It's totally worth it. Yeah.
Matt talks about that too,
Yeah.
right? Where it's like you don't want to be strumming robotically. You don't want it to be like...
Nice natural swing. So we talked about that. Like how many years ago on this Uke Minute? I just uncovered this Uke Minute. I'm like, man, what?
Yeah.
So check that out.
Actually, he teaches the swing strum. He has like a swing strumming section, and he teaches it in a way that like, I never thought of it like that. But if you're taking everything literally, that's how you do it. If you can't really feel it, that's how you do it. So.
Good. Yeah. So check that out. Definitely informative. So and you know what? Just like how we talked about last week. Maybe we'll get Remco. So we'll try to get as much people. In the marketplace, ukulele marketplace, as much as possible, so you guys can get all these different opinions on different styles and techniques. So Matt is just the beginning of of all these awesome stuff that will be available over there.
Do we have another class in the marketplace? Is that up?
What's that?
I thought we had a few other people lined up already, or like we had.
Oh, we got Paul Hemmings.
Yeah, we got Paul Hemmings coming. He's
an
amazing jazz ukulele player.
He has a program in the marketplace called Diminished Returns. So if you're really interested in diminished chords, it's like a whole thing. Like
he's a beast.
Pretty much unlocking because he is a jazz player.
Yeah.
So he uses diminished chords all the time, and he breaks down how to use diminished chords. And how the theory factors into it, and understanding your fretboard using diminished chords. So it's like
he's awesome. So go check that out. So it's just the beginning, Matt, and then now how long has that been up with Paul?
Pretty much since we released.
Yeah, because we didn't really put too much advertising in that one, but there's some great content, and it's just the beginning. We're gonna try to get as much people, teaching you as many different things as possible. So we're look for a lot more diversity here in Ukulele Underground. All right, so it is pretty much at the end of the show. So this is is there any last minute questions that you guys might have?
So is this week's should people check out tips for a cleaner strum this week?
Yep.
And then next week we'll come back to it, or
that's kind of how I do. I'll go over it, and then they can watch it and just that's what Aldrin was talking about.
And then if they have questions about that, they can come back.
Next week and ask your questions. We'll talk about that in the discussion, or anything that you want to discuss. At the end, I'll teach another one, then we'll do that. So that's basically the new format of Thursday Live Lesson. So we actually have a format now.
Yeah. And if you guys have questions about anything, throughout the week, you can leave it in the forum too. Yeah. The plus forum, forum. So, yeah.
Would like chord melody classes. Yeah, that's coming. That is coming. And you won't even know what hit you. When that comes, you're like, oh my God. This is the ultimate chord melody chords. We use that word a lot, ultimate. You know why? Because it starts with a U.
Yeah.
Ukulele Underground Ultimate.
Oh, Alan.
Like I need Ernie Cruz Jr. So yeah, we will pack the Friday jam session tomorrow with some Ernie Cruz goodness.
I'm gonna have to play guitar.
Yeah.
As a background.
So shout outs to the greatest.
That one
of the greatest voices to ever come out of Hawaii.
Yeah. And that one is more the jam style.
Yep. So, all right, guys. If nothing else, this is Aldrin Guerrero on behalf of Aaron Nakamura and Kai Fergan. We thank you guys so much for tuning in, and thank you so much for taking some time out of your Thursday to join us here on Thursday Live Lessons on Ukulele Underground Plus. Have a pleasant weekend. We'll see you folks tomorrow during the Aloha Friday jams, or if not, enjoy yourself. Okay, play your uke, enjoy it, have fun. Aloha.